Hey everybody, it's Dan. Today's topic I want to talk about losing friends and a shrinking social circle. And it came about as a request. Somebody messaged me and says, hey, I've got a video topic for you because both I believe this person and people that this person knows have been complaining about how they're losing friends as a result of their chronic symptoms or pains. And it's very common. And it happens for a lot of reasons. You know, it's a very weird social dynamic when you're dealing with somebody who's constantly not doing so well. And so I think from the standpoint of friends who stop calling you, part of that is because every time they call you, all you're doing is talking about your pain, or every time they invite you out to do something, you're saying, I can't, I hurt too much, or this is going on, that's going on, I can't. Eventually, they're probably going to stop calling you. And I'm not blaming anybody. It's just the nature of humans, and they're saying, well, I want to go out with this person, but they won't come because they're not feeling well. And look, that just happens. And also understand from your perspective as a person in pain, yes, we want sympathy, but to what degree? I would much rather, if I were still in pain, I would much rather connect with a friend, not to talk about my pain and get sympathy, because that only goes so far. I'd want to hear what's going on in the outside world. I'd want to laugh. I'd want to connect. I'd want to, share whatever stories are going on in life. Because if you make every conversation with every person about the pain, it's always about you. And how many people do you want to be around that only talk about themselves, right? You ever go into a party and there's somebody over in the corner and all they're doing is talking about themselves? Anybody who will listen? Generally, not too many people want to listen to that. And so, friends, family members, acquaintances, honestly, there's only so much they can take of it. And I did that too. I mean, eventually I learned that I was creating distance in my marriage. Friendships drifted. Family members, how's your back? Good. But then they didn't want to hear about it anymore. If I started going into it, they would change the topic. So look, nobody wants to hear about struggles all the time, every time. And so I'm not putting this on you to say this is your fault. It's just the social dynamic. You don't want to be around somebody who's always complaining about their marriage, right? After a while, it's like, oh, dear Lord, you've been telling me the same story for the past 6 months, 6 years. Okay, I've heard it. What do you want me to tell you, right? And I'm not suggesting that, a troubled relationship with a friend of yours is not different from your chronic pain syndrome. It is. It's very much different, right? But it's the same concept. Are we literally creating the distance by turning down invitations to go somewhere constantly, and then they stop calling, and then we feel abandoned? And look, it's nobody's fault. It's not your fault. It's not their fault. It's just how it works. I mean, I've been paying attention to this chronic pain world for 2 decades now, a little over that. And it's so common. People's worlds shrink. Some of it is on our end as the sufferer to say, oh, I can't, or I don't want to be a burden, so I'm not going to go out. And hey, the last time I went out, I had a massive episode of pain or symptoms, and I really needed help, and that was embarrassing, and I don't want to do that, so I'm going to avoid that. And we create this avoidance strategy that has us doing less and less and less. And as a result, our world shrinks. And if we're feeling abandoned by our friends, just understand that it's not that they don't want to help you. They don't know how to help you. And they may feel like they're in the medical world, so they give you advice or suggestions. Well, maybe you should go see my doctor. They're really good. Maybe they can help you out. And then, of course, we're on the TMS bandwagon, and we say, no, it's all mind-body stuff. It's stress-induced. It's repressed emotions. And they go, but I really have a great chiropractor. You should see them. And you're saying, no, I don't want to hear that. And then of course that creates a little bit of conflict, and then your friend says, well, I'm trying to help, but they don't want help. Right? You see how this can happen, and maybe you've seen that in your life, in your social situations or interactions with others. But really it's tough. So what can you do to overcome that? Well, if you are interacting with others, don't always make it about you. Yes, if they ask, okay, yeah, I'm doing all right, struggling, working on something, I'm on my way, I'm moving down the right path. How are you doing? And turn it around and get out of your head, get out of your symptoms and your pains and into the outside world. What's going on? I haven't heard about your friends lately. How's your kid doing? How's your parents doing? Your mom still doing all right? Right? Get out of the pain discussion, because talking about the pain all day long to everybody you know does not help you get rid of it. It only keeps it persistent and stuck, because the brain keeps wired to things that we focus on most often. So, if you're losing friendships, do you want their sympathy or do you want their friendship? If you want their friendship, talk about them. See what's going on in their world. Don't always make it about you. And again, I'm not blaming you. I'm not saying this is your fault, because some of you are great at this and you don't talk about your pain at all. But for some reason, these friendships kind of drift apart anyway, and maybe that's just because even though you're not talking about it, they don't know what to do for you, and your ability to go do things that are fun and enjoyable is limited, and so they stop inviting you, and it just kind of happens. So it's nobody's fault, and I would encourage you to do what you can to live life, enjoy it, have as much fun as you can anyway. Nobody wants to hear anybody complain about their symptoms every single time you talk to them. So don't be that person. And you may find that the more pleasant you are to be around, the more people you'll have around. And again, this is no criticism of anybody. But literally, if you look at your interactions with the outside world over the past however long you've had the symptoms, how much of that has been poor me, feel bad for me, it's all about me, the symptoms, I'm so mad at this doctor, I'm so mad at that, and how much of it has been about you. And understand that when you encounter somebody like that, with whatever problems they talk about over and over and over again, you don't want to hear it either. So just try to be a more fun person, choose to have more fun. And again, I really hope this is not coming off as insensitive or blaming or saying it's your fault and you're a complainer and a whiner and nobody likes that. Not what I'm trying to say. I'm not criticizing anybody here. Just observing that that's what happens. I know when I get around somebody who just wants to complain about how bad their life is, I generally don't want to be around them. Why? Because who wants that negative energy, right? This whole thing is about energy. We've got positive energy, we've got negative energy. You ever walk into a room and over on one side of the room there's somebody that's just glowing and they're beaming this positive energy, and somebody walks in the room and you're just like, whoa, what's wrong with them, right? You can feel it, you can sense it. And if you're constantly putting out that negative energy, don't be surprised when folks don't want to hang out. Especially if they've invited you out 6 Saturdays in a row and every single time you said, I don't feel good. They're going to go, okay, let's stop calling them. And so it's just what happens. So what can you do to show up a little bit differently on your phone calls, on your interactions with family and friends and your spouse and your kids? What can you do to get out of your own head and out of your own suffering and into living a little bit? So again, not criticizing anybody or judging anybody. And partly why I know about this is because I did that for a long time. And we all know that one person who, hey, what's up? How are you? Oh, awful. This is bad. That's bad. That's bad. And immediately you're like, oh shit. I wish I didn't ask them how they are, right? And so there's always those people that we don't want to be around because it's like, ah, they're dragging me down with their energy. So don't be that person. That's all. Decide that you're not going to be that person that drags the whole room down. So anyway, enough of that. Hope I did this topic justice, and I hope I didn't insult people or anybody, or you for that matter. And hopefully I helped just open some eyes to go, yeah, I have been that, Debbie Downer in the room. And so it's all a choice. We don't have to be. So with that, I'm going to say we'll see you in the next video. I love you all, and we'll talk to you soon. Thanks.